Hello, my name is Dr. Scott Young, and we're going to talk about After the Red Pill, or Revealing After the Red Pill. It's a book that is going to be coming out here soon. It's taking a little time, but we're going to talk a little bit about plastic economy, this is the third of the series, versus a cash or asset-backed economy. Coming right up. Now, if you stuck with me before, we talked a little bit about just how the economy works in this system versus how the economy will work in a cash basis situation. Then we talked about, the second one was talking about the banking system inside of here, the loans and all the fractional interest and the stuff that they do, the sickness, okay, that keeps you tight in here versus a cash or asset-backed system. See, the debt has to go away. So let's just go backward over this. I want to talk to you, and I'm going to change this up just a little bit here. We're going to talk about two different types of people. Now, all of us have come from this plastic, the debt economy kind of thing, okay? And we're all coming to this one over here, but I want to identify the person who's more been like this than like this. And I'll explain it here as we go. So let's say this person over here, and we're going to say that they basically make the same amount of money. So let's say this person over here makes $50,000 a year, okay? And he has, and then he goes, I don't have enough money. So money is a concern over here, but what you're going to find is the debt is his real big concern. So that, he's married, and so the wife, gets a job kind of thing, and they're both making up a number, they make $90,000 a year between them, okay? And they started maybe here, and then they moved to this kind of thing. Even if both of them were working, they only made this. And then as time went on, they made more money and they went up to this. It doesn't really matter. Now, what happens is that they have a house payment, they have 2 cars, they want the best TVs, want to get the cool iPad, on and on and on. And so they're looking at the debt points. So through debt, they accumulate. Okay? So then this person is coming up farther and farther. Now, to come to the point of bankruptcy, I cannot spell today. Sorry about that. Okay. But when we come up to the point of bankruptcy, you have to have 30 to 50% of debt to income, which means that if you make $90,000, you have $45,000. So your $90,000 over here, okay, or excuse me, $90,000 that you have, and you have $45,000 of debt. Now, we're not talking about asset-backed debt, okay? So when you have asset-backed debt is like cars and houses, because the bank can pull that thing back, okay, as a foreclosure point, or they just come out and repossess the thing. So we're not talking about those kind of things there. Cars do actually calculate in here, but what we're really talking about is all the other debts like credit cards and things like that too. So they look a little bit at the cars, whatever you spent your money on and different types of things. So when someone gets to this kind of place, they still have payments that they got to make on a billion things. And they're running at a really difficult deficit. Now, we're talking about people, but we can talk about businesses too in the same way, okay? So when you move into this kind of ratio of debt to income, this person has, we're just going to say that, this couple here making this has $45,000 of debt. They also have a house that's $250,000. I'm just making up numbers. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you want to pick. They've got a lot of other things, and they're swimming in debt. And so they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They're just paying the basics to get this, okay? When we look at their bank accounts, okay, their accounts that they have in the bank, that's the cash reserves that they have. Maybe this person has $1,000 in savings, okay? Maybe has $500, they have $500 in checking, okay? So they have a very small amount of cash as compared to their debt. So we call them way underneath. Okay? Now, let's flip over into, and my father-in-law is perfect to this kind of thing. So let's just say we have another person over here. So we have June and John over here, just for the heck of it, okay? And we have Frank and Jane over here, okay? Now Frank and Jane, let's just use the same thing. Let's say both of them together made $90,000, just to keep up with the same basic idea, okay? But they have no debt for the most part. Oops. And in this no debt thing, I mean, they've only paid cash with cars. Now, every once in a while they have a little bit of debt, but they pay it off so fast that, you don't even recognize it. I mean, if you looked at the credit report, you're like, you got no debt, and they just live smart, okay? Now, when we look at their cash reserves, they might have, let's say they've been saving up here, so they have $350,000 in IRAs, or maybe this person over here maybe only has, $60,000 in IRAs or less, okay? Has $350,000 over here. They just have cash and gold, kind of thing. And then they have, their bank accounts, and they have a ton of money over here in this way. Maybe they have, $50,000 in savings, and they have, $20,000 in cash and gold. You're talking about someone who's very, very set up. And when you're looking at their debt to income, I mean, maybe at any one point in time, they're sitting at 3%. This ungodly, the crazy amount. And do you know that sometimes when you try to actually get these people a loan for something like, if you want to give them 12 months same as cash, and there's really kind of unique things out there. But these people, they don't even have a real good credit report because they never use things on credit. And do you know that we can't actually get these people loans at time because they don't have enough credit, because they haven't been inside of the system and using the system crazy way. This is a sick part of this. This person can actually afford anything he or she wants, but they won't let them have the money because they didn't play over here. Wild, huh? Now, so the situation here that we talk about and people are getting so upset about is this. That wasn't for an over-dramatic pause, that was just let me drink. Okay, so over here, these people have $45,000 of debt again, $250,000 house. I mean, they're swimming. They have nothing. Now, in the cash economy, when we move into NESARA, they lose, they lose all this debt, which is a great loss, right? They've accumulated debt and they own all this stuff. And you go, gosh, that is not fair. Now, here's a couple levels that you have to see about this. So all of the debt goes away. on June and John over here, okay? So all the debt wipes off the charts. So we're going to just cross that out. But these guys, they haven't had any debt. Maybe they had a little tiny bit and it goes away, just wipes off the chart there, okay? Stick with me for a second. But again, look at Frank and Jane. 350 here, 20,000 here, 50,000 over here. They've lived on a cash basis, which means within their means. Okay? And we should be celebrating this person, okay? Because when we move into NESARA that has asset-backed, you can't live on the plastic system of the past. So Frank and Jane, who have lived within their means, now they find that their cash has gone up in value, has gone up dramatically. They didn't lose as much debt, and you're going, but that's just not right. It's not fair. Stop talking about fair. I have people that do this all the time. I get a little mad about it. But their value of their cash goes up huge amounts because you've killed off inflation. Inflation never messes with their system. See, inflation messes with these people because it devalues all their monies all the time because they want to do it. They want you to go off in debt like this so they can wipe you out. This is the way. But in the NESARA system, when we look at this, their value increases dramatically in all of those cash bases. They have learned to live within their means. And so when loans are kind of harder to get, and you go, wait a second, how come loans would be harder to get? It's because you can't give out to someone who can't afford it. Now, I have people that get off of me on this issue, and I don't want to get off on that too much, but some people want to talk about a UBI, like a universal basic income. I don't believe in that stuff. You want to believe in that? Your choice. If it happens, great. I just don't believe in it because I think if you have a huge UBI of millions of dollars, what would happen is that no one goes to work. If you really tell people they don't have to go to work, they just quit. And if you quit and you have 40, 50, 60% of the economy doesn't go to work, the country, all the assets will be worth less and less. No one can get anything. They have a lot of money, but they have nothing to spend it on. And then they can't spend it on the things they need to do. You need people to work. And that's why I don't believe that this system will have a big UBI out there. I'm sorry, I just don't, okay? You can disagree with me. I'm not trying to be mad about that. I'm just telling you, it's what I kind of look at when I think about a macro economy. Now, this person over here, if Frank and Jane want a loan, boy, they're going to go, hey man, you can get a loan anytime you want to. But here's what they're saying. They're going, we don't want a loan. We don't need to get a loan because we're already in good shape. Now let's drop over here. These people have their debts. Gosh, I keep doing that to you guys, sorry. So they had a huge debt jubilee. Okay? They had this massive amount of money. I mean, we were talking about, we just used the examples here, $295,000 of debt just whoosh, washed off the chart. And these guys maybe, let's just make up a number, they had $5,000 of debt over here, and that got washed off the chart. But the problem is, and these people are just like, they should be jumping for joy. So should these, because when they understand that their value has jumped up dramatically and they know how to live in this economy because they've lived it, there's very few people doing this. They are going to be so far ahead because as every day goes along, their value is higher and higher, and they're going to be in much better shape. And when they want to retire, they just retire. It's no big deal. Okay? But when the debt jubilee comes over here, the problem is the cash reserves of these is just in our same circumstances is $1,500. That's it. They have nothing. They're starting from zero. Oops. Okay? Now my son, let me tell you, this is what we've tried to do with him. I mean, I've spent a lot of my own money to get where he doesn't have any debt from the house. I mean, from his car. We're paying off his car. We got him through college. We had grace issues like crazy. Tell you about it, but it's not really relevant here. But I wanted him to be in the zero category. He's 23. He's finishing with his MBA, and he's 23 years old. And whether, we were talking about this, I wanted him to be in this kind of place where he's at a 0 point. And he doesn't have any money, but he doesn't have any kind of debt in there too. Now, you're going to have two different types of people that will come out of this. I hope this helps you, because this should give you a lot of information. See, this person already knows what to do. They know how. Okay? Now, I'm not worried about those people down in the NESARA era. But here's the problem. No UBI. Okay. So we've got two different types of people. These people, both of them, are happy about their situation. They learn about money. And they learn it's a vehicle. So they learn to save. It's just like, Frank and Jane over here. This person over here has learned to save their whole lives. So you always start low and you have to build up, okay? So they learn to save and they learn to live within their means. And by the way, this will allow the person to make it, but they're going to have to be really careful because you can't get in debt because, as I said to you, I believe that loans are going to be harder to get. So this person can't just jump out and go out and buy new cars all again because the debt economy has gone away. Okay? They're going to have to show that they can afford this, and these people can't afford anything. Okay? We're talking about two different types of people in here. Okay? So again, we're separating it out. June and John. Let's just say we're translating them all the way down over here. But we have Deb and Steve, for the heck of it. Deb and Steve, they were also happy in their system. They think, let's go get in debt again. And somehow they get some debt, but they still have it so that they get some more. Even though it's very hard, they don't save, and these people are going to fail like crazy. This is the problem that we're going to have to see inside of NESARA. And I'm thinking way, way, way down the future. I'm talking about, years down the road. See, these people over here that learned to live within their means, they're going to see a little bit of debt reduction. They're going to see, a dramatic change in their cash, and they've been saving for a heck of a long time. These people over here, June and John, finally get the clue. They get happy. They learn to save their money. They learn to live within their means, and they steadily rise. It's just little baby steps going along. Okay? Deb and Steve got the same debt reduction, make $90,000 between them, but they're real happy about it, but they didn't learn a thing. And they're going to be in trouble. And we need to be there. Now, so you are awoken for a reason. God did it for you to know what's happening. And I believe that the people who've already awoken their eyes and you're watching this video and you're coming to this kind of thing, I want you to be this or this. I want you to learn about what happens to money and how it's just a vehicle. People talk to me all the time. Do you know one of my biggest things that they say to me all the time? You know, like, for the love of money is the root of all evil. I'm like, would you stop it? Okay? I know. That's what we're coming from in that way, okay? But I could say sex is a part of the evil point too, but sex is a wonderful thing, right? But okay, can we just get into the right kind of stuff here? June and John, we want people to understand this, and you are awoken for a reason, and maybe you're the people that can talk into June and John's life so that they can get the feeling of what it feels like to be over here. Because they're going to have to transfer their mentality like Frank and Jane did maybe 20 years ago. Because 20 years ago, they had basically nothing, right? They started in their early part of the marriage and they just build it really, really gently, okay? And this is where we're hoping that a lot of people can come through. We need people who know about money and have been awoken and are getting this, and they're getting downloads from the Lord to know this, because we need to really watch out for this kind of a group of people. And if they don't want to learn, they're going to find they're sunk. And it's not going to be a really easy thing to get them out of this situation. And there are people that fail. But they've always needed to fail. And sometimes when you fail, you learn how to deal with this. When, as a business, when our business was making about $510,000 in just gross revenue, I had $435,000 of debt. And it was a really ugly time. And I learned about how to live within my means. I'd done it from private life, but I didn't know how to do it in the business. And I learned this stuff, and it was a fight every single day to get from a 90% debt to income ratio that sitting around 10, 12%, okay? Debt Debt Jubilee is going to help me a lot of ways. But I've built this, I've had to pull myself from this one to this one already. And many of you have already done this, okay? But it's still a tough road. And yet some people, like my father-in-law, Frank, okay, so I'm modeling this after, he's already done this all of his life. He's done that. And we need people of both types to understand this and give these people the understanding so that June and John and Deb and Steve don't go through this stupidness and down the road. Okay, so I hope that helps you out. This is the third and the last of those videos. We'll talk about a lot of things more. So if you like this, I'm happy to answer some questions down there. You might get upset about this little idea about the UBI. Go ahead, okay? I'm just going to tell you. How about thanking the Lord for what's happening in your life? Because there are amazing things that are happening. Thanks so much.